Welcome to CX&Chill, the real, raw customer experience podcast by Exo Studios, the creative arm of ExtendOps. In today's episode, host Stephanie Todd is joined by hospitality expert Ricardo Parodi. Join in as they dive deep into the world of hospitality CX, launching global brands, and adapting to change during uncertain times. CX&Chill starts now.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Todd, host of CX&Chill. Welcome. Today we are with Ricardo Parodi. And do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us about your background.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. It's great to be here with you guys. I'm Ricardo Parodi. I head up the Customer Engagement Center organization for Marriott. I head up the strategy function for the Customer Engagement Centers at Marriott. And I've been with the company for about, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
Flew by.
Yeah, flew by.
And today we're in a beautiful Marriott property, the Cosmo, my favorite hotel in Vegas, and overlooking gorgeous scenery. Hopefully people will want to pay attention to what we have to say, because if not, then they can at least check out what's behind us.
Yeah, it's certainly my favorite property in this market. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, I know when I checked in, I had the little guide, and it's like Rose was my AI assistant, and she's a mischief maker. So I like the voice that comes out with every property. Every property is a little bit different.
And I love the property. They gave me an upgrade. So
you're like,
that's amazing.
You're like very easy to please.
Just give me a bigger room and I'm happy with it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So kind of talking about your background, how you got started, how'd you get into the space?
It was the only company available in the DC market when I was looking for a job 16 years ago. So I came to New York to study there. And then after my studies, I went to work for Deloitte Consulting out of New York City for I don't remember, 5 or 6 years, I felt 15 years, right? Yeah. I was doing projects in San Francisco, flying every week, right, to San Francisco, or every other week, trying to stay there for a week and then kind of take turns. But I worked with Deloitte for about 6 years roughly. And I had to move for personal reasons. I had to go somewhere else. I'm not going to go into a long story, but I ended up in Washington, D.C. without a job. So I started to look for companies in the area, companies that could make sense for me. Sure. And then the only companies at that time were, I think, Choice Hotels, Capital One, and that's it.
Or politics, and you didn't want to get into that.
No. And AOL was there, but they actually went bankrupt at that time. So there weren't any other companies by Marriott. So I was very lucky to actually apply for a position. I kind of took a step down in my career a little bit, but then very quickly I went up a couple of levels. So I've been with the company about 16 years now.
Yeah. And so with what you did at Deloitte, did that help with what you're doing now from a strategic standpoint?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I came into Marriott to be an internal consultant for the sales and marketing organization. So we did one of the largest kind of sales transformations in the US and Canada at that time. So we touched all the hotels in the US and we kind of consolidated all the sales efforts into kind of a market teams versus each property having individual salesperson, right? Okay. So great concept, makes sense, right?
Undertaking, though.
yeah, we did that for 3-4 years.
Okay.
So I led that transformation for about 3-4 years. So that was my first role at Marriott as an internal consultant in sales and marketing. And then I went into my first leadership role, leading the reservation strategy for the company, trying to make the experience of booking a hotel more like a retail-like experience where you can choose different features and potentially pay for those features as well if you want to pay for that, right? So we set up a large effort that is still going on, actually, to try to do that. And then a few years after that, I went into loyalty. I was the head of the Ritz-Carlton Rewards Program and Marriott Rewards Program for 2 or 3 years. So that was a great experience trying to really appeal to the next generation travelers that were looking for more kind of instant gratification, right? Yeah. That they don't want to wait 2 years to accumulate points and redeem for a room night, right? They want some more instant rewards. So we did a lot of great work during those 2 years. I think after that, I did some back to kind of internal consulting, working for the brand management team for a couple of years, helping with the integration with Starwood Hotels. And then I've been with the contact centers for about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot has changed. Going back to the instant gratification,
Yeah.
I took my boys on a trip last week, and on their Delta Sky Miles, they started their account a couple years ago. And my 11-year-old's like, so am I silver or am I diamond? I'm like, you have not traveled enough to have any status. He's like, well, I've already been on this flight. Why wouldn't I have status? I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my
exactly. I
gosh.
mean, that's a great point. They should offer a basic status with some
Mhm.
basic benefits, right? You start getting
Yeah.
some benefits just by starting
Mhm.
using the brand. Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying in terms of building that out. So kind of talking about Starwood too, because that was two big brands merging together. That was what, 3 years ago?
That
No?
was more like a 5, 6
Five?
years ago.
Oh, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Gosh, the last how many years have been a
Yeah.
blur? Yeah.
Yeah. 2016, 2017, maybe.
Okay. So how has that gone in terms of kind of blending those teams together and kind of merging the tech, the actual voice of the customer, everything?
I think it's gone well. I think it was painful at the beginning when we
Mhm.
actually integrated the systems, right?
Yeah.
But it was painful for a few months for some of the systems teams working on the integration. But I mean, it's been a very exciting kind of a partnership and combining the two cultures about 5, 6 years ago. I think we were able to keep each brand within its kind of a swim lanes,
Mhm.
right? And be able to distinguish each of the 30 brands or 31 brands that we have right now. So it's amazing. And then we took the best of the loyalty program, right, at that
Mhm.
point. And then right now we have about 180 million members in our Bomboy program. So very excited about that. And that was really one of the reasons why we acquired Starwood, right? Because we wanted
Yeah.
to really tap into their member loyalty customer base.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 31 brands in swim lanes. So what are the swim lanes? How do you even fit that in a room? And like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I can tell you the 31 brands, but basically you have a luxury tier,
Mhm.
you have a full service tier, and you have select service. Like if people don't know this, they don't
Yeah.
have to know this,
Mhm.
right? But there's 3 tiers that each tier provides different services to customers, right?
Mhm.
And then within the tiers, actually, there's two kind of a pillars, right? You have more classic luxury, like the Ritz Carlton is a classic luxury,
Sure.
and you have more lifestyle brands, like a W is a lifestyle luxury brand. So, anyways, that's how we kind of segment the 31 brands that we have. And as you may know, we just acquired a new brand, the 31st brand in Mexico, City Express.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a signifies for us kind of the entrance into a new space, which is the mid scale. So
Okay.
you have luxury, you have full service or premium, then you have select service, and then you have mid scale. So we announced the acquisition of City Express a couple of months ago, and with about 150 hotels in Mexico and some other countries in South America. And we also announced like a month ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, that we are going to launch a 32nd brand in the US in the uh, l- uh, long stay, extended stay
Mhm.
mid scale.
Okay.
For those customers that are looking for kind of a stay for more than 20 days, looking for a price point that is really economical, maybe in the $80 range. And then they are looking for a Marriott kind of a guarantee of the experience
Mhm.
and looking for great service and great experience.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
then in those swim lanes, how do you manage the customers contacting the potential 4 different levels and the 31, now 32 different brands?
Yeah, for the customer should be very transparent, right? But internally in our customer engagement centers,
Mhm.
we have a kind of a sales and service desk,
Mhm.
and then we have a loyalty support desk. We have an elite kind of escalated desk for our customers, and then we have a specific desk for the luxury tier. So the
Mhm.
luxury hotels go to a more advanced desk that is dedicated to luxury hotels only.
Mhm.
And then we have a desk specific to resorts as well, because you need to develop some extra expertise on the
Mhm.
properties for those resort hotels. So that's how we try to make sure that the experience for the customers kind of reflects the brands that they're choosing to call to make a
Mhm.
reservation for.
Okay. And then we were talking earlier. So you have also all of these channels, right? So TikTok was when we were kind of joking about.
Yeah,
But
we're not on TikTok though.
we had to get you dancing on TikTok. But so we had, like, you have Facebook, email, voice. Like, do you see any trends or things that you're kind of leading towards or changing from when you started 5-6 years ago in the contact centers?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Stephanie. I think voice is still a very strong channel for us. So we provide service on voice, email. When you go into the Marriott.com website, you have a help site, and you can uh, ask for help on specific topics. So those requests come to our queues in form of an email. So we have voice, we have emails, we have a chat and messaging platform as well. Um, and yeah, that's it. And we have social media as well. So we provide support to most of the brands across most of the countries where we're present. So I think, to be honest, right, I think uh, uh, chat and messaging is a very interesting channel, right? Uh, I've talked to many of my peers in other companies. Chat and messaging, right, and having a chat bot up front uh, is what customers really want. I mean, some customers really want to interact with a person via a chat platform. The challenge for many companies is that the experience is not necessarily great from the beginning, right? Sometimes the chatbots are not really that intelligent, right? And then the chat experience. I think my view on chat and messaging is that it really needs to be focused on the right intents, right? And some companies do it well, like I've seen Amazon or Uber, right? They drive you to chat for things that they can resolve very easily and very quickly. And they're very conscious about they are only going to help you in the channel for some specific intents, right? And that makes sense to me, right? That's what companies should do more of. Offer the chat when they can really offer the assistance to the customer.
Yeah. I've seen some who do it really well where they'll turn off certain channels and only for certain questions or certain lines of business or whatever, they offer certain functions. And now with ChatGPT and AI and all this other stuff, I know people got a bad taste in their mouth with some of the chatbot AI stuff that happened years ago, the more virtual assistant type of stuff, because people weren't saying they were not human. And then they'd get frustrated, like, help me with this. And then it would get stuck. I think it's gotten smarter, but it's still trying to figure out, like you say, the intent behind it.
But it's a segment that companies need to invest in because there's the segment of customers that want to interact via chat. So we need to be able to provide that support and get better at that, right? And use partners to help us get better at that. I think ChatGPT is certainly something that everybody's asking around. How can companies benefit from that? I think we're going to get there, right? As a company and as an industry. I think we need to take some baby steps at the beginning. Right. Kind of, I was chatting with some of my friends, like before start creating content with ChatGPT, why don't you start maybe polishing the content that you already have, right? In a way that you can respond to an email, and maybe ChatGPT can help you kind of refine the communication with the customer versus creating content for you. Anyways.
Making some things faster. I saw like every day I see news articles saying now employees are hiding from their employers that they're using it because they're more efficient and they're working
why
less
not,
or
right?
whatever.
You can be more efficient. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and kind of on that topic, so I may get this wrong, but I think Marriott's been for 25 years Fortune 100's most admired companies, right? Is that an accurate
That's
statement?
true.
Okay.
That's what I read too.
Okay. So
I've been with the company at 16, so I gotta believe that it's been 25 years. Yeah.
So how do you create and kind of maintain that culture? I know we were kind of shifting from like the ChatGPT employee side, but kind of talking about that most admired company aspect. Like, what does that look like inside, and how do you maintain that, especially across those contact centers?
You know, I don't know, right? There's a secret sauce in that, but I'll tell you that. So I worked before for Procter and Gamble. I worked for Deloitte Consulting, great companies with great cultures, which I was very impressed when I was working for those companies. But I was even more impressed when I came to Marriott 16 years ago. I think it's a completely different level from a culture perspective. And the fact that the founders of the company were still there at that time, and some of them still are, just makes a big difference, right? Because maintains the family culture.
Yep.
And one of the kind of the visions and quotes from our founder is, we take care of our associates, right? Our associates will take care of our customers or guests, and the guests will come back. And that really, we live that culture every day in the company. We take care of our associates as the first thing that we can do best, right? Taking care of our people. And so just to give an example, during the pandemic, right, we had about 6,000 agents working in our contact centers at that time, and our occupancy dropped by about 70% from one month to the other, right? So we certainly had to furlough people at that time, but we were very concerned about furloughing our 6,000 associates. So we worked very hard for like a month to try to identify partners who can help us maintain some of the people from our contact centers. And really, in a couple of weeks with the right partners, we found the right company and the right organization to help us keep our people employed and supporting other projects outside of Marriott. So we ended up really at the beginning of April, really 2 or 3 weeks after the pandemic was announced, right? We got signed a contract with the New York Department of State for unemployment.
Okay.
And we were able to maintain and kind of redirect about 1,000 agents to work for the New York Department of Unemployment for about a year, and including myself, right? Yeah. So I was one of the leaders managing the team at that time, and that also kept me employed and kept 1,000 people from our customer engagement centers employed for about 8 months. And for me, that was just amazing. Not only that we were able to do this in like 2 weeks, to train people, get people to opt in for this project, to train them, to set up the system and connectivities with the Department of Unemployment. In 2 weeks, they were taking calls, and the company took a risk, right? Because that's not our business. Yeah. And they took a risk, and that was really very meaningful for us. Not only for us, right? We were able to keep 1,000 associates. We handled like 1 million calls from New York residents. We actually completed like 200,000 applications for unemployment from New York residents. And then it was just a great project for us and a great project for New York State as well. So
yeah, well, it's remarkable you can move that fast, especially working with like a state agency too. It was because they don't always move the fastest either.
I don't know how we did it. Really, I'm not lying. In 2-3 weeks, we had the first team of Marriott associates taking calls. And I gotta tell you, the systems that they use are not really the most intuitive, but it worked. And by the end of the year, we had kind of employed about 1,000 people. So it was amazing. So I mean, from that moment on, I think that's a really great example of how the company took the risk to take care of their people, right? Yeah. So that was amazing.
No, that's a great example. And it's something we're in this industry, like the customer experience, customer service, contact centers, like we're solving problems every day. And then you solve one problem and then something totally random like that comes up where you're like, okay, global pandemic, how do we solve this? And then it's completely just trying to like source and figure out where to go from there.
Yeah. And amazing how the team stepped up, right? HR stepped up to hire the people, to have the associates to opt in, to get all the regulatory legal approvals, finance. Our tech teams did magics to connect the systems in a couple of weeks, right? So
that's probably the biggest
that was the biggest challenge. The telephones were going to be connected, right?
Yeah.
And they were going to be able to have access to their unemployment system through our VDI platforms, right? So very complicated, but they managed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now like, so travel's back.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, people are back at it. I don't know if it's leveled off. I think I still saw numbers out there where it's still like expecting like another year or two to get to the point with business travel, especially. But what is that looking like now that it's like, it's back? We're all here. We're in a room together. We are not, you know, having to be sequestered in our homes or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, you and I were talking about this before, right? Like after the pandemic, you start to think about your priorities in life and how you want to spend your time. So yeah, like I've been taking extra trips
Mhm.
trips with my kids and my family
Yeah.
because right time is limited. So I want to take advantage of that time to travel with my kids.
Mhm.
But no, the industry is bouncing back big time. I think there was the Q1 results announced a month ago, and the company is doing amazingly well. I think our RevPAR, which is kind of a uh, same store sales comp,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
went up like a, sorry, I'm misquoting the number, but it's like a 35% year over year, which is amazing.
Mhm.
We have like a 3,000 hotels in the pipeline to open in the next few years.
Mhm.
So the company is doing great. People want to travel. People
Mhm.
want to combine kind of the business travel with a leisure travel.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
kind of a trend that started a few years
Yeah.
ago, right? With the next gen traveling more, they wanted to work hard and
Mhm.
play hard. But now it's that trend is here to stay, right? People
Yeah.
are extending their stays, combining business with leisure as well.
Mhm.
So I think it's very exciting. As I told you before, the company continued to expand into new brands like City Express, into new segments like the extended stay, mid scale in the US.
Mhm.
So we're very excited that people want to continue to travel. So they're
Yeah.
staying with us.
Yeah. Well, and then you have 31 brand, 32. So it just seems like you just keep growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the leisure and business travel is something where for so long I didn't take advantage of that. So it's for me, it's been the last few years of
Yeah.
seeing that and going, oh gosh, I've been so many places, but I haven't actually seen them. But it was something that was interesting because when I was a young professional, I remember the first week at my job, they said if this person asks you to travel, you just say yes and figure out your personal life later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, you didn't ask questions. It was like, you're going to Birmingham, Alabama for 3 weeks. And like my excitement was like getting chicken wings from the place next door, right? It was like,
Yeah.
I was still like very frugal with my per diem spend and everything. But then it's like now, I'm like, the amount of things I probably missed out on. But I think for younger people, they're like, if I'm going to travel for work, I also want to go and have fun and explore and see
Yeah.
things and not just be in a hotel room or an office or
Yeah.
the airplane.
And not only that, I think the fact that we have 31 brands right now, right, offers you the opportunity to have different experiences
Mhm.
whenever you want it, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the occasion. There could be different brands for different people as well. So
Yeah.
if you want to go on the extended stay, if you want to rent a home and villas,
Mhm.
you have options, right? With us, you
Yeah.
have a courtyard, a resident scene with bigger rooms. You can go to a
Mhm.
Renaissance, to a Marriott hotel. So you
Mhm.
have all the breadth and depth in our portfolio.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in Boston, I stayed at one that used to be a prison, which was a fascinating hotel. It was a
Is that right?
Marriott. Yeah. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was an autograph collection.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
But then I did the home Marriott.
Home and
So
villas,
instead
yeah.
of, because I've used Airbnb and VRBO, but I also love my points because I'm kind of a point hoarder. But I was like, okay, how do I still do this? So I rented through the homes and villas. And
Yeah.
then I swear you guys listened to me because I was telling someone, oh, I want to go to Hawaii. I haven't been to Hawaii yet. And then the next day, Weston, Princeville, wherever in Hawaii was like, we'll give you a special deal to
Oh,
go
is
to
that
Hawaii.
right?
And then I was like, done. So I'm going to Hawaii in December.
Yeah, I don't think we were listening, but maybe
Maybe. I don't
maybe
know.
someone was listening.
It was just that very serendipitous timing.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll give you
yeah.
that. I'll give you that. So kind of like thinking about all of that and all the brands, travel being back, like what are the biggest challenges you face right now with like employing people or like running the contact centers to get people excited to be back?
Yeah. You know, because I'm working on some of these projects, but I've seen that trends that are impacting the contact center industry are, one is there's more competition, like the labor market
Mhm.
is become really very competitive, not only on kind of labor rates,
Mhm.
but on flexibility to work from home or work hybrid,
Yeah.
uh, uh, or offering different type of flexible arrangements as well.
Mhm.
So so that's something that we've been looking around in our center. We have 20 centers around the globe, and we've been looking into ways to continue to be a very attractive job opportunity for people.
Mhm.
So we certainly needed to adjust and look for where we need to offer those alternative or flexible work arrangements.
Yeah.
Like in Cork, we just recently launched a formal remote program. We
Mhm.
launched a hybrid program, And then we all actually launched a work from overseas pilot, because in
Okay.
Cork is a very unique market
Mhm.
where you have a lot of young people from different countries from Europe, and they want to take a couple of weeks to go and visit their families, right? But they want to maybe work 1 week from overseas from their home countries, right? And
Yeah.
make the trip worthwhile. So we set up a pilot to see how it works, where they can take a laptop and go overseas for a couple of weeks or
Mhm.
3 weeks and be able to work from their home countries for about a week.
Okay.
So trying to provide those flexible work arrangements so that we continue to be a kind of an attracting option for individuals. So uh, we need to hire more people, right? Because the
Mhm.
market is more competitive. So how do we make the onboarding, the new hire experience more effective and more efficient for everybody?
Mhm.
We're working on a lot of projects to help us do that. Not only how do we make the onboarding process more simple,
Mhm.
right? How do we shorten the period between you sign the offer and you start working with us, right?
Mhm.
Because that's where we lose a lot of people in
Yeah.
the wait period. We also try to develop the relationship between the managers and the associates from
Mhm.
day one,
Mhm.
right? How do you create that connection with your manager from day one? And how do you create moments that matter for the associate and allow the manager to be in those moments with the associate and create that connection
Mhm.
from day one is critical, right? And we are trying to actually create more time for managers to spend more time with their associates
Mhm.
coaching. As you have more remote agents,
Yeah.
developing that engagement takes more time.
Sure.
So you need to adapt, you need to
Mhm.
adjust, develop new skills for managers to be more effective with their associates in a remote environment. So we're
Mhm.
trying to create that opportunity for the managers to do that with their associates.
Okay.
So those are two trends, right? This work flexibility, working from home.
Mhm.
Managers need to kind of redefine their skill sets and how they spend their time with their associates given the new environment, and then making sure that we provide the right appeal to 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 people looking for jobs,
Mhm.
providing those flexible work arrangements.
Yeah. Well, and you would assume that some of the people working also love traveling or they get excited about traveling. It's maybe one of the reasons why
Yeah.
they work for Marriott. But kind of on that note, you want them to be able to actually experience it themselves too, right? Not just work in that field because it might get a little daunting if you're always like, oh, great, have a great time in Hawaii. And you're like, I'm sitting in this room and I never leave.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny though. So I go to the centers like every other month, and last year I went to like 5, 6 different centers,
Hmm.
and it's amazing how just the benefit that we offer to our associates to use the associate rate, the
Yeah.
kind of the explore program that we have that provides discounts for our associates to stay at hotels.
Yeah.
You talk to associates in different centers and they tell you their stories about, hey, I went to Europe last
Mm-hmm.
week, or I went to the Caribbean with my family last month. So
Mm-hmm.
this is really like very compelling benefits, and it's amazing, right? That our
Yeah.
associates can take advantage of those programs and be able to visit our hotels as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of getting free coffee or snacks or something in an
Yeah.
office, I'd much rather go to Peru
Yeah.
or Europe or somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So, kind of on that note, like for flexibility wise, did you go back to offices? Like you said, it's somewhat hybrid. How has that shift been?
Well, now that's interesting, right? We've taken an approach where we want to be mindful about when and where we offer this.
Hmm.
In the case of Cork, as an example, as I
Yeah.
told you, right? Uh, it is based on the dynamics of that market, right?
Yep.
This is what the market is asking for. This is what companies are doing in those markets. In other markets like Mexico or Guangzhou in China,
Hmm.
people really need to come to the office to work because they need to have space. They need to have the engagement with their managers, with their
Hmm.
leaders. They need the office space, the connectivity. So it depends, right?
Hmm.
It depends. There are centers that we are operating full remote. There are
Hmm.
centers that we're operating in a hybrid or remote basis. There are centers that are fully in center operation right now.
Okay. And so, how has it all been from a performance standpoint? Like NPS, like whatever you're measuring and what's important, like how are you measuring what the moments that matter and like what the importance and performance has been?
Yeah, I mean, certainly so far is going well. I mean, I think there's a lot of work that we've begun to do since last year to try to improve what I just told you, the kind of
Hmm.
the new hire experience, the nesting process and the training and all that. but results so far are great, right? And our revenue per booking has gone up as well, right? Which
Mhm.
is a reflection that customers are really reaching us when they want to book their family vacations,
Mhm.
or they have a more complex booking that they want to do. They call our contact centers, our CECs, and and we help them book those more complex stays, right?
Mhm.
I guess the more simple stays, they go online, right? They
Mhm.
can do it more quickly on the website. But yeah,
Mhm.
revenue per booking is going up. Our NPS is higher. We're handling most of the calls.
And then do you have different metrics by those different brands or different swim lanes?
Uh, we have different goals,
Okay.
yeah, for
Yeah.
some of the different desks that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of figure out based on whatever brand it is and potentially have a faster speed to answer for a luxury versus something else or
Yeah, of
okay.
course. Certainly, we want to have
Yeah.
for our lead lines, we want to have a lower speed to answer,
Mhm.
and same for the luxury brands as well.
Yeah, which I appreciate because
Yeah,
I'm titanium elite. So I'm
I
like,
mean,
I become a little bougie where I'm like, wait a minute, if I'm not answered right away, I'm like, hey, I'm titanium elite.
yeah.
Not that I throw that out there, but it is something where I think there's that level of expectation
But
with
it's funny
certain
though.
levels.
Sometimes you have to call the right number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you call the wrong number,
Yep.
it's not the wrong number. But if you don't call the loyalty support line
Mm-hmm.
or the luxury line,
Yeah.
you may end up in the level one sales and service line, which
Mm-hmm.
is also a great experience, right?
Yeah, no, all of them are good experiences. I think it's just a matter of making sure as people are going through it. I don't think people fully grasp and understand the complexity that lives within contact centers. Like when they hit an IVR, and if a company has an IVR, those numbers mean something. It's, if you hear people are like 0000, or
Yeah,
they're like
yeah,
representative,
yeah,
representative. But I'm like, you do know that they're like, if you push certain numbers, you may go to a completely different country or a completely different person who is skilled to answer certain things.
yeah,
But customers a lot of times don't know that or aren't familiar, nor should they be, I guess,
yeah,
with what that all means underneath.
yeah.
So,
I mean, it's very interesting. We did a project like a couple of years ago trying to improve the customer experience. But then what we actually wanted to improve was the handle time, because
mhm,
our handle time was going through the roof. You know, handle time drives budget because you need to have
mhm,
more people if the calls take longer.
yeah,
So we set up a project to improve handle time to try to provide the tips and kind of the kind of rephrase the process and protocols for our associates to handle
mhm,
customer issues, right? And it was interesting. The handle time came down like a 50% during the period of that project because the team did an amazing job. But then surprisingly, NPS went higher,
mhm,
right? When many people think that, well, if you try to cut the call short, then your NPS is going to go down. And
mhm,
what's completely opposite, right? People don't want to
yeah,
spend too much time on the phone with us, as much as we
mhm,
are nice people,
yeah,
right? They want to resolve their issues and
uh-huh,
go on with their lives. So it was amazing. As HT went down, NPS went up,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I think overall metrics are whatever you can do to resolve why they're calling in the first place or contacting
yeah,
you. It's like whatever you can do to solve their problem as fast as possible. I don't think
yeah.
people really care about anything else. Although you always hear like Zappos, the longest call, their Vegas center. It's like 10
There are the
hours
chit
and
chatters, though.
45 minutes.
Yeah, there
Like,
are
how do
people
you
that
leave
like to talk.
operation? Oh my gosh. I know my parents would probably complain about that too. But
Yeah,
so kind of, and then going back, so loyalty was something that you were in within the company too. And so now there's some new programs. So I saw like, some of the fun experiences and 1 point experience, I think it was what it
yeah,
was
yeah,
called, and
yeah.
some of the fun things that are coming up. What are some of the new projects or initiatives that are going on?
Again, right? It's always trying to back to my point about instant gratification. Always trying to provide experiences, instant gratification to members, like at the 1 point
Hmm.
bit. That of course it was very difficult to get it, but right,
Yeah.
at least kind of engages customers to try to get something and achieve something and gain
Hmm.
something,
Well, I think I
and
saw one
attain
is
a benefit out of the program.
like I gotta go with Breaking Bad, like
Yeah,
the people from Breaking Bad and have dinner or something, right?
yeah,
Like
they're having drinks
like
of
memorable
tequila with them.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that the loyalty team is doing an amazing job trying to continue to evolve and provide
Yeah.
opportunities for members to engage with the program
Hmm.
in different ways. So I think that's part of the Moments program that we have
Hmm.
for the Bomboy program. We also just announced recently. I mean, partnerships is really critical. That's how you
Hmm.
expand your engagement with customers, by creating partnership with other companies. Like for South America and Latin America, we just partner with Rappi. It's a
Hmm.
service like it's a courier service for groceries, pharmacy products, and things like
Okay.
that, and food. like the
Sure.
Uber for Latin America. So great to see great partnerships in different markets.
Mhm.
And then, very importantly, recently we also announced the our ambassador members, elite members,
Mhm.
the highest value segment of members in our loyalty program, the ambassador level.
Mhm.
We just announced, and we actually just launched uh, on the first week of June, that we went back to the one-to-one model, which is
Mhm.
every ambassador member gets a dedicated ambassador agent or
Okay.
ambassador associate to help those customers with their travel. Just trying to dial up kind of a personalization and
Mhm.
provide even a better customer experience. Like we used to have that in the past, pre-pandemic,
Mhm.
right? We had to stop during the pandemic for obvious reasons, but then we were really excited to come back to that kind of a personalized one-to-one service model for our
Mhm.
highest value members in the program.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've had benefits like luxury card or Amex or whatever will give you that concierge service, and I rarely or even remember to use it. But those kind of things, having that one-to-one person, they get to know you and then also be able to say, okay, oh, you went on a family trip here. How did you like that? And this is what I recommend for future whatever. But
Yeah.
how do you operationalize one-to-one? Like, are they just on whenever that customer needs them, or it's more email based, or how do you
No,
manage that?
yeah, it took us about a year to redesign, improve, and relaunch the one-to-one model,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you need to move people into new roles
Mm-hmm.
with new expectations, new plans, and all that, um, and design new process and train people and set up the systems and routing the
Mm-hmm.
telephones to do that. But I think uh, uh, it's really worth for our customers because they are really looking for that one-to-one
Mm-hmm.
relationship with someone who can help them with their travels. But then going into details about how we are set up, eh, you can communicate with your ambassador, associate, or agent through email,
Mm-hmm.
through voice. You can leave a voicemail.
Okay.
But if you need immediate assistance, there's also kind of a pool of
Okay.
ambassador associates ready to help
Sure.
any member from the ambassador program as well.
Okay. So they can still go on vacation. They're not always on their
Yeah,
call.
they
Okay.
can go on
Okay.
vacation. You can choose to wait until your
Yeah.
ambassador comes back from vacation as well, but you have
Yeah.
options, right?
Sure.
And then we have a pretty much a 24/7 operation with ambassador members across multiple centers, kind of a following the sun from a coverage perspective.
Okay. Yeah, because you're in multiple countries. You said 20 centers. So
Yeah, we
what
have
countries? Your Asia Pac, there's
we have 18 physical centers.
okay.
Um, Mexico, we have a handful of centers in the US,
Mm-hmm.
Canada, Cork,
Mm-hmm.
Cape Town, Dubai, and then we have in Tokyo, in Guangzhou in China,
Mm-hmm.
Singapore, Kuala Lumpur,
Mm-hmm.
Bangkok, India.
It's like you're just gonna keep
I
naming.
just told you
Yeah.
the 18.
Yeah. It's a lot. And so
Yeah.
that but it's remarkable, even just the countries across that and maintaining that culture and the excitement and all of that has to be quite the challenge too.
I think we have, to be honest, it doesn't seem like that. We have great
Mm-hmm.
leaders
Mm-hmm.
across the continents, from managers to ops managers to uh, general managers of the centers and vice presidents of operations in each of the continents. Um, uh, and 90 plus of our associates are in-house
Mm-hmm.
operations, right? Most of our associates is our Marriott associates working in our center. So we're very proud about that. It still works for us,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you, right? And it's great. It's great to be part of this great culture of providing service to our customers, right? Customers communicate to us either via at the hotel when they come and check in at the hotel or they stay at the hotel, or through our customer engagement centers,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're the two options for customers to engage with our brands, with our hotels.
Yeah, sure. Kind of sales and service combined all across the board.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
amazing to be able to manage that organization that is providing that customer facing engagement and relationship and support.
Yeah, especially at a global level with the amount of members and hotels and everything that you have.
Yeah. That's what I love about this kind of a contact center space,
Mhm.
that I spent most of my life doing kind of a desk work right? Creating PowerPoints and just sending the PowerPoints to other people to do things with those PowerPoints, right? But this job for the first time allows me to have a team where we create strategies and plans, but also we execute those plans and deploy those plans, and we can see how effective our ideas are, right? And we can see how the needle moves once you implement those plans in the centers, right? So it's, you can see the full operation and the full life cycle of those programs. So it's amazing.
Yeah. So you didn't intend to necessarily get into this, but after Deloitte, and then you came here 16 years ago, kind of a last question.
Yeah.
What would you give advice to anyone who is in the contact center industry who maybe didn't happen to jump into it or didn't mean to be here either? Like, if you could have given yourself advice 16 years ago, what would you have told yourself?
You know, to be honest with you, I think I love the contact center space, right? I think you have to make a decision whether you want to become a contact center professional, an expert for the rest of your life, or if you want to continue to develop your and broaden your skill sets and experiences across other customer experience functions, right, of the cycle. So I got the chance already to work in loyalty, to work in brand management, sales and marketing, and reservation strategy, and now contact center. So I had that experience on working across multiple customer experience touch points. But I think people need to make up their minds about what they want to do in their careers, whether they want to stay in the contact center or just want to step in their journey, right?
Yeah, you see that a lot where people will come in, they'll start as agents. They either see the full breadth of where they can really go, especially globally and across industries, and really gathering all of that experience, or if it's something where they, tiptoe here, kind of spend a year or two, whatever, and then kind of move on to that. I'd love to see a map of like where everyone goes after they start in contact centers.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for inviting me. I think Stephanie, you and I have been working together for now a couple of years. Yeah. So I always appreciated your advice and just that energy that you bring in that relationship to keep us connected and keep working together and sharing ideas every time that we meet.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure, and it's been fabulous. And it's something where, as I continue to travel and experience and explore the world, it's always those little moments that matter for Marriott that
let me know. Let me know where you're going next time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
I'll hook you up.
Awesome, perfect. That's even better. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Huge shout out to Brittany Kelly and Carly Corolla at FW Rentals in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada, for their support in custom logo work. FW Rentals provides rental and custom build-out solutions for all of your event and production needs. We love you, Brittany and Carly. Learn more at fwrentals.com. That's fwrental.com. And that's our show. CX&Chill is a production of Exo Studios, the creative marketing arm of Extendops, with today's host, Stephanie Todd, executive producer Sean McCreary, producers David Spear, producer Coronado, and Reynolds Valos. Editors and videographers, Santiago Aguirre, Alfonso Ramirez. Graphic support from Jordan Madrid, and social media guru Claudia Corona.